Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And I want to talk about this person right here. This is a transgender person who missed out on getting an Oscar because of things that she had said about other people, including black people. And I'm here to say that black people, black Americans, and I don't speak for everybody, but I speak for many when I say we are sick and tired of being everybody's whipping boy. Every time you get a little platform, you're a transgender person, and you get a little platform, and you have a social media account, and instead of talking about the issues in the LGBTQ community that they're always talking about, they don't get the attention that they need. Instead of focusing on the problems in the transgender community, she is going to go in on people that are not even bothering him or her. Black people, Muslims, Jews, anybody bothering people that don't even know he or she is even alive. And so pay the price for it too. So hate didn't win in this case. Instead of this person getting the Oscar, Zoe Saldana got it. It struck at the right time and it hit just the right person. A person who is willing to go to a social media platform and spew hatred against groups of people who have done absolutely nothing to him or her or whichever is appropriate. This person's name is Carla Sofia Gascon, and this article says that she reflects on tumultuous Oscars season. The pain has been so overwhelming that I contemplated the unthinkable. Now somebody's supposed to feel sorry for them because they didn't win the Oscar. And so now they are contemplating the unthinkable, whatever that is. Well, that's what you need to think. My dad used to tell us you have to think when you're living. You always got to be thinking about what you're saying. And that's something that many black people, especially in the South, were brought up. Like, you have to control that tongue. And my mother used to say, that thing under your nose will overload that thing under your clothes, meaning that you keep running your mouth, you're going to get your behind whipped. And the problem is that it has been open season on black people, especially black Americans, for so long, and people have degraded us and mocked us and gone after us for no reason because it's sport. Going after black people is sport. I always say this. White people and these other races of people who want to be white adjacent or want to assimilate into white society bond over their anti-blackness. But as Sister Deborah keeps talking about, it's the awakening now. Black people are awakening if we're not already woke. And so now you're getting pushback. So you lose your job. And who's supposed to care? Who is supposed to care other than Bill Maher, who hates cancel culture because he's another one of the ones that black people are always the default. If he doesn't have anything else to talk about, he goes after black people. But see, now it's a different environment. It is a different environment. Less than a week after the 2025 Oscars, Amelia Perez star and Best Actress nominee Carla Sofia Gascon is reflecting on her experience as part of Netflix awards campaign for the gender-bending musical. Though Amelia Perez scored a leading 13 Oscar nominations, it won only 2 awards for Best Song and Best Supporting Actress Zoe Saldana after past controversial tweets by Gascon were resurfaced online in the days after nominations were announced. So there again, your digital footprint will find you out. That movie was nominated for 13 awards, and it was a front runner for several awards, including the award for whatever it was she was doing in the movie. But because her digital footprint was discovered days after the nominations were announced, people started pointing to their digital footprint, and it came up dirty. And people said, no, no. And we know who has great influence in the Hollywood community. So you don't get out here and start throwing off on them. They don't care what your situation is. They could get away with throwing off on black people and saying all kinds of humiliating things about black people because there's really no consequence for that. Sometimes you might get some pushback, but that might have slid under the radar. But when you go after the Jewish people, it's not going to slide under the radar. And I like that about them. And I'm glad they have the clout that they do in this particular situation to say, okay, you can go back to where you came from because you are not going to get an Oscar. So I will refer to this person as they and their to simplify it. So I'm going to talk about some of their insulting tweets about people who weren't bothering them. One of their tweets includes a cartoon of a Muslim man weeping, and they wrote, "New attack in France, decapitated people in Nice by one of the retarded people," they wrote in Spanish, according to a translation by HuffPost. They also wrote, "How many times are we going to have to expel these madmen from Europe to realize that their religion is incompatible with Western values? We do not learn." So that is what they said about the Muslims. After George Floyd's death, they wrote, "I honestly think very few people really cared about George Floyd, but his death has served to once again highlight that there are people who still think black monkeys have no rights and who consider police are killers. They are so wrong." So they're referring to black people as monkeys and saying that police are not killers. Okay, got it. Speaking in defense of Adolf Hitler, they said, "This is the same old story. Black slaves and women go to the kitchen. It's my opinion, and it should be respected," they wrote. "I do not understand why everyone is making a world war against Hitler. He simply had his opinion of the Jews. Well, that's how the world works." Okay, well, that's how your world works. And in this world, you don't get an Oscar for saying things like this. They also had something to say about the 2021 Oscars, where Daniel Kaluuya, who is black, and Yeon Jung Jung, who is Korean, won for Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress. So they wrote, "More and more the Oscars are looking like a ceremony for independent and protest films. I didn't know if I was watching an Afro Korean festival, a Black Lives Matter demonstration, or the 8 Miles. Apart from that, an ugly, ugly gala." So, fortunately for them, they didn't get to be a part of that ugly, ugly gala because Zoe Saldana won the Oscar that they might have won if they had kept their mouth shut. People do not understand the power in keeping their mouth shut. So, black people are tired of this. Black people are tired of being everybody's whipping boy. Every time you get ready to say something ugly, every time you get a platform, you come on there talking about black people. I'm glad to see the cancel culture. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I don't like who got canceled. But in this particular case, this individual was canceled and was canceled for a good reason. And there's a lesson there. There is a lesson there. Just because you can get on a social media platform or get in front of a white person, because that's their go to, that's their favorite thing to do, is get in front of a white person. And it's a lot of these anti-black people. They want to jump in front of a white person's face and say some of these despicable things about black Americans in hopes that white people are going to approve and pat them on the head and say, "Good boy." Well, usually the white people just come back and tell what you said. Like this is probably what happened here. And I think that's another thing that people need to understand. When you take to these platforms saying these ugly things, thinking you're just talking to your friends and subscribers, just know that some of those people that are listening might not be your friend and they're going to tell on you. It's always somebody you know that ends up telling on you. So, following the discovery of these tweets, they made something of an apology. If I hurt anybody's feelings, I'm sorry or whatever. But still, many people were upset that they were still in the running to win one of Hollywood's most prestigious awards. So, what people came back and said was, delete it or not, these tweets are hurtful, offensive and shocking, most especially coming from someone who is a member of another vulnerable community. Someone further wrote, Muslims are part of every community, including the transgender community. So once these tweets were out, they were out of the running for the Oscar. There are people who do not appreciate this kind of hatred and this kind of disrespect, especially coming towards people who haven't done anything to this individual. So, anyway, be careful how you run your mouth, even when you think no one is listening. Because where you might think what you're saying is funny and cute, somebody else might think it's offensive and disrespectful, and they might just tell on you. And then you're out here looking like a fool and losing an Oscar. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Give me a thumbs up and have a good evening.